Do you ever think about what your brain is made of? Well, according to the Mayo Clinic doctors that I used during my research, your brain is made of something similar to the consistency of simple gelatin in like a little gelatin thing. Now, don't you think that would be easily harmed or influenced if given a violent blow to either the gelatin cup or, in this case, a violent blow to your head or the body? Well, yeah, it does. One simple violent blow to the head or the body can equal a concussion. And what happens during a concussion is your brain has been shifted, and sometimes you lose memory, and other effects may occur as well. Concussions have become very popular within sports and even in everyday life. And it is my goal here to tell you the physical symptoms of a concussion, what goes on internally, and also what happens if the concussion is not treated right away. It has become a very dangerous injury that can not only lead to problems that happen right away, but can linger on and can create problems in the future. And the first thing I'm going to discuss is the physical symptoms. The first of the physical symptoms would definitely be the ringing of the ears. Now, myself, I've had an experience with a concussion that I'm going to give you a little short story about. In high school, my senior year, I had a big hit on the play, and I was wondering what was going on in my head. And I asked my teammate, was the ref still blowing the whistle or was that just me? And my teammate told me that it was just me. What I found out when I talked to the trainers after the game is that I had a mild concussion. And I was a little bit dumbfounded because I had no idea that a simple hit like that could cause a concussion. But what happened when I hit the defender is my head was jolted and I heard ringing in my ears that I couldn't describe of how loud it was. It was extremely loud and it was really hurting and I had to figure out what was wrong. The next symptom that usually happens with most concussion patients is inappropriate tiredness. And I don't mean tiredness within the body, but I mean mentally tired. For example, let's say you're sitting in class, doing your notes heavily, and next thing you know, the teacher says the class is over, or the bell rings, and you're trying to figure out why you stopped writing your notes, or why the class went by so fast. What happened here was your brain has become mentally weak due to the stress that was caused by the concussion. What the concussion does is it kills some of the neurons in your brain that keep you moving, keep your fast twitch and your slow twitch muscles that continue to help you provide yourself with the energy that you need to move on in the day. This is probably one of the most stressful of the physical symptoms of the concussion, because when you're mentally tired, it's hard for you to do just about anything. All you want to do is lay down in the dark. You don't really want to get up. You don't want to go out. You just want to sit there and relax and try to figure out why you can't think as well as you usually would. The next and the most common of the symptoms, and probably the most hurtful or harmful to the body, will be the headaches and the dizziness. This was definitely the worst part for me because I hate headaches and I do not like being dizzy. But there's a different type of headache when you have a concussion. The headache doesn't happen in the front of the head only, but it happens towards the back of the head as well, because most of the damage done in a concussion goes on in the soft brain tissue that is in the back of the head. And when you harm that, it is very hard for you to get rid of that injury. And not only do you have to worry about the physical symptoms, but you have to learn about what's going on internally. And the first thing that goes on internally in a concussion is the concentration and memory complaints. Like I said earlier, it would be hard for you to concentrate due to the mental tiredness, but also because of the headaches. You're so worried about why your head is hurting so bad and what you're going to do to get rid of the headache, you can't concentrate and you can't remember what's going on because you just want to solve the problem that's occurring with you right now. The next thing that you have to think about is the psychological adjustment of depression. Now, when you have a concussion, you become a lot more susceptible to being depressed because you can't do the things that you would normally do. You're not going to be allowed to practice. You're not going to be allowed to go out with your friends. You have to sit at home. You have to take your medications, and you have to think about what you need to do to get better. It's really hard on the brain and really hard on the mind as well because you can't think the same way that you would like to. And lastly, but definitely not less important, is the sensitivity to light and noise that goes on. When you have a concussion, you have to be more careful to the places that you walk into. Some light will be a little bit more sensitive to the eyes because the brain has been altered in thinking to where, well, I can't handle this light, so I'm going to get up and go out and make sure that I have either some sunglasses or a hat to block some light. And you want to make sure that you can have some type of ear coverings or stay close to a place where it's normally quiet, not too noisy, because that extra noise would definitely affect your concussion and it could even make it worse. Once you know these physical and internal symptoms, it is important that you treat these correctly, because if you don't, a lot of things can happen negatively that will hurt you in the future going on. The first would be permanent memory loss. Memory loss is something that is more related to amnesia, but if you are hit hard enough or if you are experienced with more than one concussion, you can lead to a lot of memory loss. And there's a lot of people on the football team that can attest to that, because I've seen it happen to them before. They may get hit and not even remember where they were when the hit happened. Next will be what the Mayo Clinic doctors and Lindy Sander of the NCAA Medical Services call second impact syndrome. What this is when you did not know you had a first concussion, it skips over to the second one. And the second concussion is a lot worse because you did not get treated the right way for the first concussion. And what this does for you is it really makes you hard to think. Lastly would be post-traumatic headaches. When you get the post-traumatic headaches, you get headaches all through the day, and it really bothers you. You don't know where the headaches come from, and you don't know why they continue to go on, but that is because of the concussion that you had before. When you look through all these things and see how athletes deal with these lately, they're taking a lot more steps to learning the physical, the internal, and what happens to you if you don't learn and treat them correctly as you should. And next time you hear that ringing in your ears, make sure that you take it as a warning and not a death wish.